Okay, so Lois Weigert is here. So I'm going to kind of interview Lois, and then she's got questions for me too. So how many members now do you have on your secret fibro page?
We recently passed 2,700.
That's pretty amazing because it just started kind of in December, January, somewhere in there, right?
No.
Yeah. When did it
It was
start?
July, I think.
Yeah,
Wasn't it
almost a year
July?
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost a year.
Almost
We're
a
getting
year.
close to a year, yeah.
Here's what everyone wants to know. What's the top secret password to your sacrosanct inner-level fibro page?
Well, you don't qualify for that information.
So I'm not allowed to know the secret.
Yeah.
We think fibromyalgia, for all you people listening to this or listening for the first time, it's a theory I came up with, and it's been validated now for a number of reasons why. But we think people with fibromyalgia can't handle copper correctly, usually due to a copper zinc metallothionein dysfunction. Is that correct?
That's how I understand it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because I kept getting levels of people who had fibromyalgia with really high serum levels of copper and really low intracellular levels of copper,
Yeah.
and it didn't fit. We also think the chronic fatigue portion is caused by methylation errors,
Right.
like MTHFR,
Right.
and they all have it. They'll have some kind of bad methylation errors. So they have the chronic fatigue. Also, if you have methylation errors, you can't detox properly.
Right.
So and their copper metallothioneins don't work correctly. They also don't. They have a lot of genetic errors where they can't make enough glutathione. Is that correct? Too.
That seems to be how I understand it, and how, that's the approach that we've taken,
Right.
obviously.
And everyone varies a little, but
Right.
when you look at the copper zinc metallothionein, it looks like a trident, and the center portion, the most important portion, that it uses to grab the copper or the zinc and move it around with a white blood cell plugged in here. But the middle part of the trident is really a reduced glutathione molecule. So it makes up a third of the weight of the metal. Isn't that interesting?
It is
Yeah.
really interesting, yeah.
So when we came up with this theory and did our first study on those 43 patients, we had to develop a glutathione that would actually work. There are a ton on the market that don't work.
Right.
And then we got the first validated glutathione, long story now, because it's really helpful for fibromyalgia. It is one of the new drug indications we're going to go after with ours, but it just helps you detox. And the FDA lets us say that, FTC lets us say that. How do you explain the tremendous growth on your page?
I mean, this is a whole brand new thing for me, so I guess I didn't really know what to expect. But truly, I just tried to approach it from what I wanted from a page and what I wasn't finding. First and foremost, sharing the protocol that was helping me and changed
Right.
my life.
Thank you.
So that was number one. But number two, I wanted it to be a positive place and an uplifting place and a place that was hopeful instead of, I'm on a lot of Facebook pages, and I've been on them for a long time, and I found them so
Kind of bummers.
depressing.
Yeah.
It was
Those
so
fibro
sad.
pages are bummers.
And not that we can't say, hey, we're having a bad day, because that's still part of the deal. But
Right.
but to be more hopeful and supportive and encouraging, and if you are having a rough time, you can usually figure out why. And
Sorry.
bless you.
God bless.
And tweak some things and get back on track. And that's important, I think. Hopefully, I hope so.
Talking to people, patients and stuff that I've referred to those pages or have been on those pages, they say that's the thing that attracts them the most. They're tools that are given there, like the diet, which is constantly updated.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're constantly working on that. It is ever changing. Yeah.
Right. Those tools are given to them. Everything's really positive, upbeat. Not a lot of people crying on that page. It's like, we're getting better, and here's how. Did you want to share any comments from people who got better, or you have anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I actually took a picture of one of the comments the other day that I thought was so good.
I know you send them to me occasionally.
I do send them to you because I want you to know that it's working and that we're having positive.
The grand experiment of creating a community of fibromyalgia patients. Once they heard the tips and tricks to getting past their pain and not having any more pain,
Right.
and living a free life, free of pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this was about copper balance because you guys had a little bit of a shortage. She says, I'm really noticing how much copper balance has helped me. I didn't realize just how very long shipping would take these days, and I ran out. Oh, can I ever tell how much it worked and how very much I missed it until next Thursday? So sometimes, and the good things about getting comments like that is because we're constantly getting new people to the page, and I always encourage them, please spend time in the announcement section. But when people first get on, they'll see comments like that, and then it's, what is copper balance, or what is VARS, or, and then we can explain how that all works and encourage them to go into the announcement section where I've posted a lot of videos and other information and stuff to help people understand.
It's very good. If you have fibromyalgia, you need to get on that page. Do you know why I developed copper balance?
Why did you develop
when we were trying to do our study to see if it was a copper metallothionein dysfunction causing fibro. And I had this assumption I'd made, and the naturopaths have been thinking stuff like this for years, that it was a copper toxicity issue. I thought it was a copper imbalance issue caused by dysfunctional metallothionein. And so I looked at all these studies on what could be missing in the structure of that metallothionein that would cause it to become non-working or dysfunctional. And boron, zinc, molybdenum, B6, whatever the 7 things are in there, what I found, and glutathione. Mm-hmm. So we need to develop those 8 things in a usable way. You can buy all those individually on Amazon. You don't buy our product. I just thought it'd be easier if I put them all together in one product.
Right. And it is because we used to have to take handfuls of pills. And now I just take one small handful instead of 3 big handfuls.
Mm-hmm. I know, and I had patients ask me to do that, so I did it. So copper balance is just my attempt to cut through all the crud of you trying to buy 7 different products on Amazon. I have a question.
Okay. Because you brought up the detoxing, and it's not really detoxing. And we say that a lot, but it's really about getting your body to work properly so that it's
mobilizing the copper and zinc where they should be.
Putting it where it should be, yeah.
Not where it shouldn't.
So we use detox, and sometimes people, they'll get on and they'll say, oh, do I have copper toxicity? And it's like, well, not really, not in the typical sense of if you Google it, that's not going to be your answer. Right? So that's kind of a question that does come up occasionally.
Also, a lot of fibro patients have migraines. Migraines, I think, are caused in these patients, particular patients, by high copper levels in their blood vasculature, in their blood vessels, in their brain arteries and stuff. And so they get bad migraines, especially after they eat certain foods. What do you think the number one food is that most people should avoid that they're probably eating?
Number one.
There's a lot.
I know there's a lot.
I'm like, there's so
Avocados?
many.
Well, I ate a lot of avocado, but yeah,
Kale?
yeah, spinach, nuts and seeds.
Oh, definitely nuts and seeds.
Nuts.
Yeah,
Nuts are super high in copper. Yeah, and this isn't a permanent thing, but until you can get your copper, zinc balance all figured out, your body does that properly, then you can start slowly adding little things back in.
Yeah.
Test yourself.
Well, MTHFR. Why is that an important diagnosis for people? And in understanding the genetic errors and the treatment?
You got to have a good handle on that, because that causes 2 problems, like I indicated earlier, 3 actually. If you have bad methylation problems, you won't properly make glutathione. Go look on Google Images for MTHFR diagram. MTHFR glutathione diagram, you'll see how it's really critical for you changing homocysteine, which is extremely inflammatory, over in just a couple of steps to glutathione. They go back and forth all the time in your body. So one of the most toxic substances to one of the most detoxing substances. Isn't that weird? There's such opposite ends of the spectrum. Also, you can't otherwise detoxify from birth control pills or medication. So we know that 85%, for example, of young living distributors have some kind of methylation problem like MTHFR. When we developed master formula, we saw that. Also, the chronic fatigue portion. The B vitamins give you energy and allow you to make more energy, more ATP correctly from carbohydrate intake. So that's a really big portion. If you have bad chronic fatigue with your fibro, which is really common, it's because you have bad methylation problems like MTHFR. So anyway, it's the chronic fatigue, the detox, and the helping you make more glutathione, which helps you detox further.
Right.
So
Speaking of bees, since you brought that up, understanding that you need the correct type of bees, the methylated bees and the amino acids that are in the MTHFR support and support plus. And what are the difference between the two and why? That was a lot in one question.
you need the bees because the MTHFR and a lot of these methylation genetic errors or SNPs that have been passed down for generations that these fibro people end up with, these fibro patients end up with, they can't absorb the bees correctly into their cells. They are blocked. For example, look up FOLR2. I discuss this all day long with patients, all week long, when we go through their genetic profiles, because FOLR2 is a really common genetic error here in North America. FOLR2, FOLR2, is a genetic error that occurs. Well, FOLR2 is actually designed to make the folate receptor type 2 on the cell surfaces. So I bet this week I talked to 5 or 6 people that had FOLR2 homozygosity. So they had the double error at that site. And so they have no folate receptor type 2s on their cell surface. They will never have a normal folate level. And they can't absorb certain forms of folate. So you have to get around it. And that's how we did it with MTHFR and MTHFR Sport and Sport Plus. We get around the folate problems. So the malabsorption problems. We kind of know the 18 methylation problems that you can do something about. So we try to address it in our products. MTHFR Support has 5 MTHF in it, while MTHFR Support Plus has folinic acid in it. But the problem is, as we've learned in the last month, folinic acid now is an FDA drug. It's been approved as an FDA drug because it's another product made by another company that doesn't have anything to do with MTHFR. And so it's been pulled off the market. We're having to figure out how to get around that. Why it's the most natural form of folate, why it's been considered a drug, we don't understand. We don't know what's going on with that. So, and I think it's something that's got to be addressed. So we're definitely pulled back the MTHFR Support Plus. We're reformulating it, pulling a lot of things I wanted to do to it for a while now. So it's going to be a little bit different. It's still going to have some of the main key points that MTHFR Support has in it, but it's also going to have some other goodies in it. It's going to be better and some other things taken out.
Oh
so it should be better.
It's my granddaughter.
So anyway, that's the reasons behind all this. So hope that helps your answers. Do you have any other questions?
I think that's kind of covering what we...
Well, keep up the good work.
Thanks.
You're doing awesome.
I'm trying.
And if you have fibromyalgia, have friends that do, send them to that page. It's free, and they can get on the diet. The diet being the primary, most number one, crazy important thing, right?
I think so. I mean, if you don't stick with the diet, then
yeah, you're really not probably going to beat your fibro.
Yeah.
It's harder for also, I've had a lot of discussions this week about vegetarians and
vegan, yeah. We're getting more and more people and lots of vegetarians.
Really
and
hard
and
to be on a low copper diet if you're in an MTHFR positive diet if you're vegan.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to help them.
I don't either.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to ponder that more. Your people are really smart in there. They're all very driven fibro.
They
people.
are.
Yeah.
They are, and awesome and supportive and helpful of each other.
Oh man,
too.
It's crazy how awesome they are.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
great.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go call that granddaughter.
Yep.